Okay, so we've got some big updates when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2 titles. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. We're going to be talking about Resident Evil Requiem. This is coming out for PlayStation, Xbox, PC, and the Nintendo Switch 2, but it does seem like maybe some of those game key cards could be getting us a kickback when it comes to the price, because the standard price for the game is supposed to be $70. And in this case, we're talking about British pounds overall from where this topic is coming from, where it could be cheaper on the Nintendo Switch 2. But usually what you'll see, at least so far, is that you'll see stuff at full price. We've seen $70 Nintendo Switch 2 game key cards overall, some 60, some 70, some cheaper, this and that, right? It's kind of been all over the place. But for right now, at this point, Amazon actually has Resident Evil Requiem for 10 British pounds cheaper than it is on PlayStation and Xbox. So you're going to be able to get it for 60 British pounds, and that could have a direct translation, once again, could, when it comes down to the price here in the US. So we could be getting Resident Evil Requiem as probably a game key card on the Nintendo Switch 2 for $59.99, and of course if you want to get it on Xbox or PlayStation, it will be $69.99. So that'll be very interesting to see if developers that are making big third-party ports on the Nintendo Switch 2 decide to just say, hey, look, we're going to have it cheaper than what we're going to see before, or we're going to have it cheaper if it's not going to be fully on the cartridge, like we've seen for like Daemon X Machina, which was 70 at launch there, which I'm pretty sure that's going to be discounted soon as nobody's buying it like that. Or if we've seen like other games come out, like let's say Cyberpunk, for example, that was a full 70 when it launched, although there are some discounts that you can get here or there. Rune Factory as well, full 70 when it launched, some discounts here and there. I think that we could see, if you're going to go the game key card route, then maybe it's going to be a bit cheaper. And if they do that, then I do think that some people, not everybody, but some people will actually kind of come around to game key cards if you're starting to get them for cheaper. So another example of this is Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. Now, the game is older at this point, so it makes sense for them to price it cheaper, but for it to be $40, it's a game key card, but even just as a digital download, I don't think anybody expected that, considering it comes with the base game of Final Fantasy VII, plus you get the Remake Intergrade thing. And if you pre-order it, you actually even get the original Final Fantasy VII from the Nintendo Switch or the PC version that was adapted over, so the original and everything. So it's actually a pretty good deal overall when it comes down to it. And you also get, with the physical edition of the game key card with Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, you get some like Magic the Gathering actual real booster packs, plus a reversible cover. So I think that if there's going to be any way that game key cards are accepted at this point, because there's just been so much controversy with them, it's going to have to be, okay, well, it's cheaper than picking it up when it comes to the physical with a normal cartridge. Let's just say some type of reversible cover, you get some extra little bonuses or like a booklet, or you get things with it. Otherwise, I think that, yeah, game key cards could have some trouble depending on what game it is, but doing stuff like this could help if this does turn out to be true with Resident Evil Requiem overall, because once again, people just don't like game key cards. A lot of people don't. Some people don't care. Some people are just all digital. It's kind of like all over the place. There are a lot of different opinions on this, but like I said before, like if this is true, I think that that will once again be a bit better overall, because you aren't getting that full game on the actual cartridge, and it is more of like a download code in a physical form overall. Now remember though, game key cards aren't tied to your account, and you don't need to be online to play them all the time. There's still a bit of misinformation with them, where people think that you actually need to be connected to the internet to even just play it. When you insert the little hollow key card thingy that it is put in the cartridge, you download the game from the server one time, and then it's available to be played on that system that it's on. So you can sell the game key card, you can trade it, you can do whatever you want with it. So just keep that in mind too though. So I don't know what I'm going to do just yet, whether I'm just going to get a digital code or I'm going to buy a game key card. We're going to have to wait and see. But once again, keep in mind that this might not actually work out. Could just be a mistake. There could be something wrong with it. But we will see in the future as the game is coming out this upcoming February. But before we get into the next topic here, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, or click that notification bell to get my videos as soon as they drop. All right, let's get into this next thing here when it comes to Donkey Kong Bananza, because we got the DLC that dropped recently. And let's talk about Pauline, because there's been a lot of discussion whether, like, who is this Pauline character? How does this even make sense? Because Pauline's supposed to be where Cranky Kong kidnapped her, but in this one, Cranky Kong is still old and she's young. So from a canon perspective, when it comes to this Donkey Kong, that is the grandson of Cranky Kong. So there really shouldn't be any way that Pauline is young and this Donkey Kong is what this Donkey Kong is and Cranky Kong is old, because Pauline was older when Cranky Kong kidnapped her in the original Donkey Kong arcade game. So really, there shouldn't be any reason why this is like this, but let's talk about it, because the 3D Mario producer won't even confirm if the Pauline in Mario Odyssey and the Pauline in Donkey Kong Bonanza are the same Pauline. So here's what he had to say. Mr. Motokura had to say in a recent interview over at Famitsu when asked about this, quote, "That's ... Of course, the developers have a plan for it, but I'm sorry, but I'd like you to use your imagination. Also, when asked about the grandmother Pauline speaks of in the game, sorry, this too." Overall, so they're not talking about Grandma Pauline, they're not talking about little Pauline, and I'm guessing that there's probably some link there. Maybe this is Pauline Jr. overall and the grandma is actually Pauline from there, but even that necessarily doesn't make sense if you play the game and you go through, and I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't beat the game yet, but it's pretty clear that that might not be an option either if we're talking about grandma with her age in consideration, considering how long it's been, because remember, this Donkey Kong is not the son of Cranky Kong. This Donkey Kong is the grandson. So Donkey Kong Jr., which has been missing, he's been missing, so Donkey Kong's dad's been missing for decades maybe, or years or whatever. We don't know where he's at. This is Donkey Kong Jr.'s son. So yeah, this definitely doesn't make sense. Now, there are some theories when it comes to, there's like alternate timelines, and this is the timeline when it comes to this Pauline compared to a different timeline, and that could be, but I think Nintendo probably just doesn't care. And I think that that's really what's going on right now. If you want the easiest answer, is that they just don't care. And they made Pauline small because it made more sense. And they even stated that yeah, they experimented with Big Pauline, but it just looked weird, or they just couldn't get it done. So I think they just said small Pauline because it makes more sense for a small character to be on a big character and it not look really weird or goofy. So I'm guessing Nintendo will never actually talk about this because it doesn't make sense and they don't care overall. So what do you guys think when it comes to the lore of Donkey Kong Bonanza and the Donkey Kong franchise and Pauline? You think Nintendo's ever going to announce or ever going to talk about exactly what is happening here? And where is Donkey Kong's dad? Where is Donkey Kong Jr. at? Does anybody know where he's at? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, let's talk about this next game that was just recently announced by Nippon Ichi Software. We got a brand new action RPG called Kyoren Makazium, and it's coming to the PlayStation 5, Nintendo Switch 2, and Nintendo Switch 1, and it's coming out in January of next year in Japan. We don't know about the West just yet overall, but they previously teased this game, and it's definitely in the Disgaea universe or franchise. The art style is similar, but the characters are much bigger in proportion to what you see on screen than what you usually get on Disgaea. But you can clearly tell it's like, yeah, this is definitely Disgaea type of design, Disgaea type of art, but just maybe a little bit different overall. You got the printies in there and all of that, and it's kind of like fighting a little bit of a mix between like a Dynasty Warriors and just like a regular action RPG. You're just fighting a bunch of different characters all over the place, so it kind of reminds me of that, just doing crazy insane amounts of damage. And it looks like it's going to be a cool little AA type of RPG that Nippon Ichi Software can make, and I have no problem covering and talking about these type of games. AA action RPGs from Japan can be like guilty pleasures for some people, or even just be some of the best games out there overall when you're talking about gameplay mechanics, because they're not worried about the graphics as much. They're not worried about the presentation when it comes down to that. They're just worried about making interesting and fun and different types of gameplay scenarios, and this game has all sorts of stuff going for it. So I do like getting stuff like this. I do like AA type of RPGs, weird, quirky type of stuff as well. So I'm looking forward to checking this out. I think that it can be a pretty fun game to play if you want to get into this style. So what do you guys think overall about it? Brand new action RPG, and remember, this is consisting of an all-star team. This is what they said about the game. Director Mr. Minawa, character designer Hadara, and composer Tenpei Saito. and in this game, players will be able to experience the exhilaration of defeating enemies with overwhelming power that defies convention, unleashing flashy techniques and simple controls, completionist elements like leveling all characters to 9,999 and reincarnating them to grow even stronger, and developing overpowered stats that lets them deal over 1 billion in damage. So I think that it's interesting. There is a whole story set up and kind of everything like that. So of course, I'll have links for you guys if you want to check out more of that. But we'll see when it comes out in the West overall. But it looks like they've got a lot of stuff that they're lining up for this game, so it could be pretty good here. So what do you guys think when it comes to this new action RPG from Nippon Ichi software? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, let's go ahead and get into the eShop charts and kind of what's going down here. It's always interesting to see because some of the narratives that people tried to put out and was pretty much clickbait from the beginning, but whatever on that one, right? You're going to get that with new systems all the time. You're going to get that with everything all the time. But when it comes to third-party titles, things seem to be looking pretty good for the Nintendo Switch 2 because we've got some new updates on the eShop. And in at number 1, it is Hades 2. The preload has went live for that. The game is coming out on September 25th. Digital. Remember though, there is going to be a physical edition of the game, but there will be a big price difference. If you want to get the game digital on the Nintendo Switch 2, or if you want to get it on the Nintendo Switch 1, it's on both. There's also a free upgrade, but if you want to get it, it's going to cost you $30. On Switch 2, docked up, you're going to get 120 FPS, better resolution, all that good stuff, more stable frame rate, because there were some frame rate drops in Hades 1 on the Nintendo Switch 1, so Switch 2 is going to get you way better on that front. But if you want to get the game physical, you can get the game physical, but it's going to be $50, and it seems like Nintendo is handling the distribution, and that's going to be later in November. So you can wait and get the game physical on cartridge complete, no game key card, in November, or you can pick it up if you want September, or you can just wait and get whatever you feel like at whatever time, if you feel like getting Hades 2. But yeah, that's pretty cool. But also, if you look down the list here, we also got Donkey Kong Bananza, we got Trails in the Sky First Chapter, Nintendo Switch 2 edition, which has a few issues here and there with frame rate and pacing and stuff, so I'm hoping that they actually get a patch out for it. But I've been playing it on the Nintendo Switch 2, and the portability for this type of game is going to come into clutch because it is a long, kind of like, if you want to get everything done, grindy type of RPG at times, but you can go straight through if you want to, but it's a long RPG. So for me, I need to have that portable version of the game very easily. So yeah, it's good to see that Trails in the Sky First Chapter is doing well so far, at least at the start here. Hollow Knight Silk Song still there. Pac-Man getting into the top list here overall. Star Wars Outlaws, Mario Kart World, all some of the same games that we've seen before. But yeah, it just goes to show you that if you do launch your game on the Nintendo Switch 2, when it comes to a certain type of game that people want to play, and if it's good or it has a good reputation, it's definitely going to do well overall. So I'd expect Trails in the Sky, Hades 2, Silk Song do well overall. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool. So what do you guys think when it comes to everything that we talked about here with Hollow Knight, Silk Song, and some of the other stuff as well? Let me know in the comment section below. Alright guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.